Welcome everyone to the Yamin Path podcast. Before we begin, just a parental advisory for explicit content. It's been a long time coming. We've got an esteemed member of our community with us here today. Welcome finally to the Yamin Path podcast.
All the Willy jokes.
Dawson.
Say Willy for your sake.
Dawson
What's
from
up, guys?
Dawson from Dick Tokens. How you doing, my friend?
I'm all right, man. I can't complain. Life's good, dude. Finally moved back to England from Poland, so it's a big change, but getting settled.
You settled in nicely, getting there?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like we're going to be in for a night of phallic comedy, as well as all sorts of stories from within, eh?
Things. Yeah, all that goodness.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Before we get gone,
I wasn't as prepared as Dom with the Willy-sisms or the witticisms.
Oh yeah.
Dawson, what you'll very quickly learn is Dom is the brains of the outfit. I'm just I wouldn't even say the good-looking one, but do you know what I mean?
and I'm over here by myself with neither.
It's fine. You're American. It's all good, man. Don't you worry.
But,
Yeah. You've got God on your side.
You've got God on your side, exactly.
that's all you need.
It gives a new meaning to saluting to the flag every morning, doesn't it? Particularly when you're creating dick tokens. But
Well, it's different. I made a Trump dick token.
yeah,
One side says some think he's the dick wizard, and then the other side says others know he's the dick illusion. So it's just kind of a either way, either side you flip it on, he's a dick. So
you
Glorious.
appear to be bang on trend at the minute, my friend.
that's it.
So let's go back to the beginning, because I obviously we've spoke about this outside, and so I know a little bit of this. But for the viewers and people listening, tell us how you started in Magic, because I like your origin story. I think it's really cool.
So long. I'll tell it as quick as I can. My sister and I weren't raised together. Before me, my mom had a lot of issues, and she gave her up for adoption. When she was 18, she was allowed to connect with her again. I was 13 at the time. And we moved all the way across country from Florida back to California to be closer to my sister, so my mom could make up for lost time and I could meet a new sister that I always knew I had, but never really been raised with. And it was 97 in Northern California. And this hippie sister that I barely knew was like, come play Magic with us. And I was like, I have no idea. This is 97. I have no idea. What do you mean? Like, am I playing Dungeons and Dragons? Like, are we just going to sit around a pentagram and light candles? Like, what are we doing? You know? And so I go over and there's this card game. I'm confused. I don't really know. And that year for my birthday, I think I was 12 when I met her, the 13th birthday, she gave me a dragon deck. This contained cards all the way back to Alpha. Obviously, back then you didn't know the value. Used to rubber band them and play on the ground, on the pond. You know, like just what would be considered sacrilege now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you know, like it was how I connected with my sister, and it's a piece of her. And I have a whole dragon deck dedicated to her. I always remember how I got in the game, and I'll never give it up.
That is, I love that story because on multiple levels. Obviously, there's a family connection, the period of time as well, which I think was really nice. So, what was the set? Do you remember the set?
The first set I remember ever buying was Tempest. So that was the first set the first booster pack I ever bought was a Tempest pack, and if I've looked out of nostalgia. And I think the lowest I can find one in is in around $70-something, and I'm like, with the likelihood of pulling nothing out of a Tempest pack, I can't bring myself to spend $70 on a booster pack. I'm a budget player. I'm a dirty budget jank casual commander player. I will never spend $70 on a booster pack.
Hey man, you could buy a good pre-con for 70 quid nowadays.
Two.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably
shoot,
two,
I can. My Magnus the Red deck, which absolutely slaps. When I first built it, it was only $49.
$49.
So I mean, there's people who like my foil commander costs more than that. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
it's not for me. Yeah,
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's how I got into it.
So possibly the next part I'm going to ask you it was almost one of my favorites. So for anyone that doesn't know, Dawson was in the military, served his time and done well. Did you you were playing in the military as well, weren't you?
I did a little bit. The more heartbreaking part of this was I went to the Army. I got deployed over to Korea for my first duty station. It was real close to the DMZ, did some walks on the DMZ. I've seen North Korea, never been there, but I've seen it. And I came back. I was going to Colorado, and I stopped in my mom's house on the way back. And I'm like, Mom, you have my Magic cards? And she's like, Nah, I threw that shit away. Oh,
Yeah.
so it was like, if you know, they still have people still use them, those long white cardboard container boxes.
I do,
There's
yeah.
3 of them full. And I reckon just the lands, if I had all of the lands now, thousands of dollars of cards just chucked in the. I mean, would I have taken care of them well enough to cash in on it? I don't know. I didn't have any bank breaking cards at the time, but thousands of dollars of cards just stuck in the bin.
I remember the first time you told me that story, and it's just one of those things where you're just like, no, the potential of what could have been. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's like even then I was mad, but I wasn't as mad because it was still only it was only 4 years removed from 4 or 5 years removed from when I first even got into it. So and as a kid in California playing Magic at 13, so I would wake up. I know I was going to meet my friends down because we played in a comic book store. There wasn't really even a game LGS, so we played at the comic book shop, and I'd pick up my deck of cards, which was horrible deck, like 3-colored dragons, no sleeves, tattered edges. Put a rubber band around it so tight that it was making indents into the cards. Stuff it into my pocket. Skateboard down to the LGS, or the comic book store. I would get sweaty in California heat down there, so the cards in my pockets would get sweaty and soaked. Take them out, unrubber band them, fan them out across the table so they could dry before we played. They're all like wilted and like, you know what I mean? And like, dude, it's like, but like there were people doing that with like Black Lotuses back then.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Do you know what I mean? Because you didn't know that the cards were going to be worth something.
I think there's
people
there's plenty of stories like that over history, isn't there? Like we probably all have a story that we either knew someone or us personally that done A, B, and C. Like do you know what I mean? We've all got stories like that, but you weren't to know because if you used to keep on to everything, like some old hoarder. I mean, it'd just be crazy, exactly. So. But I do remember, so I wasn't playing Magic back in those days, but I was playing Pokemon, and I remember how we used to treat our Pokemon cards. Now, personally, I did used to sleeve my cards, particularly all the shiny ones, because I did have some like Japanese holos and that sort of stuff, and even my English ones on first editions, I did always sleeve because, I don't know. Even at my point in time, I thought about, I need to protect these or look after them so I can trade them. That was the reason why I wanted to protect the quality so I could trade them. That was the reason why. But it's crazy times. Another time. It's other days, isn't it?
I guess the only thing at that time you would protect like that is stuff like baseball cards, right? Because even then,
there was a group of like the more serious players, the ones that were trying to get on to. The level of like Kibler and stuff at that point from the comic store that played all the the tournaments and stuff. They were sleeving their cards back then, but most of us casual players at the time, nah. And you didn't even have actual counters or dice or whatever. I mean, you used D20s for your life, but you didn't use any dice for counters. You had these little like marble pebble things, like glass pebbles.
Oh yeah.
That you put on your cards. Some of them were jagged. Some, you know what I mean? Like, like it's just, I don't know. I mean, their cards were not treated well. That's for sure. Definitely not.
So did you have a hiatus from Magic then? And if so, when did you come back to it?
Yeah, I had a really long one. So I went to the Army. I played a touch in Colorado when I was stationed there. I played more D&D through this time, from probably about '05 to 2010. I played a lot of D&D. I even used to like at one point, I don't think a lot of people knew. I've written about D&D for some blogs before. I made a module for Pathfinder for them. For their Pathfinder 20 SRD. Been really involved in. Then I went into Warhammer for a bit, and at one point I was ranked like the 11th orc player from the NTC rankings in the world. Like I still gamed, but I stayed away from Magic. And then 2011, I moved back to California, and I just went to a draft, and I did horrible. I didn't win I won one game in one of my pairings. That was about as good as I did. I still thought there was mana burn.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And then because that's how long ago I'd played. So then so it's like 7 years out of Magic, and then somebody said, I was like, I don't really like this draft stuff, and we only had 60 card back when I played. And they were like, well, you'd probably like Commander, because they were like, you don't have to really roll with the new sets as frequently. And in that set, whatever set it was, I opened up Rakdos Lord of Riots, and I was like, I really like the look of this dude. Can I make it? And they were like, yeah, it could be really great. So like they just got me all the budget Eldrazi and helped me make a crappy Commander deck. And since then, that's been my Commander. That was getting back in, but I would say I was a pretty super casual with Magic up until maybe 3-4 years ago, and then I've kind of dove in quite hard since then. But I've jumped in from being super casual, like a dirty casual, like
filthy casual.
yeah, filthy casual. Just roll in the casual.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Bad.
That's. I mean, that's obviously. I think probably like a lot of us, we all had things we've done. I know me and you have talked about this in the past, Dawson. But obviously, I've recently started to get back into 40k, and I know you're quite keen to bring your Thousand Suns down, so my wolves can chew you up a little bit. So we'll
all right.
We'll have
all is dust, brother. All is dust.
Exactly. We're gonna have to sort this out at some point.
And let's just say, I want to be very clear right now. Magnus did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Okay? Magnus did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. He's a good guy. You can see. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a 40.
Being forbidden to use Magic and then just cracking on anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Particularly out of your curiosity, just because he thought the Emperor could play with it, he thought he could as well.
Side eye.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, he's still kicking. The Emperor's, splotched. So.
Yeah.
I guess the only evidence is who's sitting in a golden throne and who's flying about the universe doing cool stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
There you go. Right. Who's the winner?
Who is the winner there as well?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be good. But yeah, we'll have to sort it out at some point. But yeah, no, like I said, I think we all had things we'd done as kids and stepped away, had hiatuses from it, and come back to it. And I think a lot of people would be in that position. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So you dove back in. So what was the first set that you really dived back into then? What was the first one when you started to regularly follow it again?
Oh, probably around Strixhaven.
Okay.
Probably around Strixhaven. Because I wrote an article for Screen Rant about Strixhaven, but it was a D&D article. And then I got the D&D Strixhaven stuff for free for doing the article for them.
That's cool, yeah.
Digital stuff. So then I did. I ended up picking up some cards and playing, and I like Strixhaven. Not my favorite, but probably my favorite since Strixhaven to now is the D&D stuff.
They did very well on that.
Yeah, I think the Baldur's Gate flavor was was like the chef's kiss. I liked it a lot, and it fit really well. The dungeons were cool. The dragons were awesome. The backgrounds. Oh, I love the backgrounds. Big fan of them. I like pairing nonsense backgrounds with, if I, in my mind, I'm still a kid. I'm like, oh, this would be. It's not functional. It's not going to go smash anybody. But it's like, oh, this guy. Well, this is like hermit. What if he also was, like a secret agent, or and you're playing these backgrounds. Oh, this is a blast. You're just, you're in your own little fiction world while you're deck building. And
I tell you what, talking of backgrounds, have you played Space Marine 2, or have you seen any of Space Marine 2?
I played the original Space Marine. I've as far as console or computer gaming goes, Fortnite's about been where my wheelhouse is with that recently. So I couldn't.
I would recommend anybody. I didn't play Space Marine, but the second one I played a little bit of. I'd recommend anyone just go watch some videos on it, because the backgrounds in that game are phenomenal. It has this real feeling that you are at this stage having your own battle here, but in the background there's just like a mass scrap fight going on. It's so good. Honestly, go check it out. It's absolutely incredible. You'll love it. Yeah, it's really.
I would be down.
Yeah, it's. I do really like all that sort of stuff. Like Baldur's Gate is one of those things I haven't played because I struggle with time to play those type of games, because I know I'll want to throw myself into it, and I struggle to do the simplest of things. Do you know what I mean? Let alone to spend the time on that.
I do.
I know I'm preaching. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, mate. You've got 3 kiddies and everything, so I hear you. Oh, it's 4. Of course it is. Yeah, no, of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, the twins, isn't it? But so I'm preaching to the choir, man. Time is thin and time is fickle, but it's one of those things where I'll get around to it at some point. I know a lot of people that have just got nothing but good things to say about it. So,
I used to play Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance on the GameCube back in the day. That was an old like hack and slash game as well. But yeah, I played a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 as well recently. Very good.
The one setting I wish they would do for Magic, that's a D&D setting, is Dark Sun. It might be a bit abstract. Think desert world where it's eternally day and hot, and dragon gods rule certain cities.
Oh wow!
And it's cool. That's like a really, really anyone who really knows Dark Sun will be like, you just gave the shittest synopsis of Dark Sun, but that's kind of a gist. Yeah. So
even that sounds cool. So
yeah, I say I was just like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd love it. That would be one I'd dig. But who knows? Who knows what they got in the that I assume they'll eventually do more D&D sets, but I don't know. Obviously
they did a few Magic ones, didn't they? So they did the Theros one as well, and the I want to say there was another one as well.
I think they've struck it quite rich.
It was Ravnica,
with the UNB stuff, the UB stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to follow. Yeah, it's difficult to follow that, really, isn't it? Because that was very, very good.
Yeah.
We'll see. Very, very good. So, okay, so we've got a rough idea of when you come back to it full time. Most people will know you for a particular reason, and that is your absolutely fantastic tokens. Why didn't you tell us the story of your tokens? And how it started? Because I find it's interesting, but
Magic 30. So Magic 30 was dropping, and I was living in Blackburn at the time. The least rainy city in England.
Sorry to hear that, man.
And I was living in Blackburn at the time, DJing in Blackpool. So English viewers, everything.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Magic 30 was dropping, and our whole play group that in Blackburn was kind of like old heads. We'd all been playing since the 90s or the 2000s. And we were just like, what the hell is this? Like, this isn't cool. $1,000 for some free cons. Price out people from what you call a celebration. I don't know. It was a really hard one to swallow. I don't want to dig up the drama of Magic 30, but we all saw it. And we were like, well, let's give some love to some cheap cards. And we decided we were going to play Pauper Commander. And I made I'd never gone like truly wide token wise with a deck. And I was like, okay, I'll just put in everything that makes tokens and, just silly tokens and just try to go as wide as I can and hopefully swing out and do all right. I didn't look at synergy or anything. I just wanted to make tokens. So then the problem was I looked at the token list I needed and I was like, I maybe have like 3 of these.
Right, okay.
So I started drawing, and I was like, okay, there's a goblin, there's a stick figure guy with a sword that's a soldier. There's a wall, whatever. And I got to the Pegasus and it was like, I'm not a talented artist in the first place, but drawing a horse for a lot of people is really hard, I'm sure if you googled right now bad horse drawing, something hilarious would come up, right? And so I'm sitting there over and over again trying to draw this horse. I'm running out of blank tokens, and I'm like, the jaw part of the horse is you're a farrier, so this circle and then out. So circle and out, circle and out. And eventually I was just like circle out, head back, circle. And I was like, it's a big old thing. And I was like, I slapped some wings on it, and I was like, there you go, there's my Pegasus. And I was like, I had the eureka moment. I was like, oh my god, if these looked cool, people would probably buy them, and it'd be hilarious. And because I'd been in the army, I was a kid of the '90s. I got that potty humor. Mom still do, I had the potty humor in. And I ran to my lady and I was like, she's like, what? Make tokens. And she was like, you're a fucking idiot. I was like. Then she was like, she was nice and supportive, and she was like, if you can make this work, go for it, So I was like, all right. So I made sure the domain was clear. Nope, nobody wanted that domain. And I started, and the scariest part was I reached out to an artist. There was this girl that I'd had when I was still heavily playing D&D and doing stuff. So I'd hired an artist through one of those Fiverr websites from Ukraine, and her name is Eugenia, and I hit her up, and I was like, okay, this is she'd done the map for me. This is important before the war had started. Then after the war started, I assumed, as you would, she left, was living somewhere else, and still doing art probably. I hit her up and I was like, hey, how you doing? I've got some weird projects. She was like, I'm still here. I'm trying to support the community. Any project you have going. And I was like, ooh, this is a weird gray area. Do I want to have somebody who's in a real life situation doing my, comic art? It's like, oh, but she was like, I don't care. I want to support myself. I want to work. You've got a project. Let's roll. And I was like, okay. So, I need, and she was like, that's hilarious. Let's rock. And I was like, the relief, and then since she's great. So at dreams.si on Instagram, she's always taking commissions. Her name's Genia. She's a fantastic artist. She does art in a lot of different styles, not just the style I use from her for the big tokens. And since then, I've even been there to Ukraine. I've met her in person. I gave her the first ever that Pegasus that I drew, the first ever dick token.
Nice.
I gave that to her. I brought her husband because I had been doing CrossFit, so I had a bulletproof vest that I've been using for that. And I was like, there's somebody at a war, probably not, it's probably not needed on me, because obviously it was a 511 one. If everybody knows, that's a really nice make. So I brought that for her husband who had been drafted. I met her. We sat down. I had some really nice meals. It's been, I never in my wildest dreams thought Magic would have taken me to a country that's at war to meet a friend. And the main reason she didn't leave is because obviously her husband couldn't leave. So
yeah.
So it's her country. Why the hell do you have to leave your country, and why do you have to leave your husband? So she's stayed and she's making the best of it, which is a really shitty situation. And hopefully, I don't want to get into politics of it, but hopefully it does end and soon. You don't want to see that for anybody.
No, definitely. Yeah. I think it's what's really nice is obviously that sounded like a make or break moment, because there could have been that moment of like, are you joking? Like, we're going through all of this and you want me to draw you some dicks? But I love that she was on board of it and was like, yep, I'm good with this.
She was like, well, the thing is, she's one of us, she's one of us. She does like vampire, and she's into all the vampire movies, and she loves all the, the gaming, the more technical gaming, board gaming. Like, I consider Settlers of Catan like the entry level Settlers of Catan Plus of board gaming that makes you more of a gamer, like niche gamer, I guess.
Makes sense what you mean.
And so she's into that, and like she's got the good sense of humor, and so so back to the story. She did up the first couple, and I took them down to LGS and Blackbird, and people were like, this is hilarious. And the first few sets I did really limited runs, and they sold out. So I was like, okay, like, I'll roll with it. And it's almost 3 years, the kind of inception date of it, and it's it'll be 3 years of it on January next year, but it's going, man. And it's slow growth, but it's growth. So it's I have fun with it, and it partly funds my Magic habit, so I can't complain about that.
No, exactly.
I
think it's one of those things that, like, so if you're listening or watching to this and you're not, if you haven't stumbled across Dawson's tokens, under the handle of Dick Tokens, like, I honestly just go check them out. If you're into that type of humor, like, I think you've sort of said it, that kind of 90s humor, like, they are fantastic. They really are. For me, like, the art is great and I love the use of them, but the flavor text is just chef's kiss. Like, they're just so incredibly good.
it's
you just know when Alex thinks about dicks, the first thing he thinks of is flavor. So
yeah, exactly.
Oh, jeez.
What have you let yourself in for, mate?
I get it everywhere I go now.
Yeah,
I do magic related, I get it all the time.
So obviously, I know. So obviously, like, anyone that's listening or watching, go check these tokens out. They are fantastic. But the one thing that's I also think that's just really good about this is you haven't just gone, I wanna earn off of making tokens, blah 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 blah. Like, I know you've done a lot of work with other people. You've given a lot of money, proceeds, done charity work with this sort of side of things. I know at Barcelona you're doing a whip around for people and managed to do that sort of stuff. And I think that just brings it really, really nicely, neatly round to it as well. Obviously, what he was doing with the artists as well. This isn't just about, you've gone about it in my mind, and you've gone about it in a really good way. You're getting other people in the community involved. I think, as much as it's very easy just to sort of poke fun at it, but be like, it's just a load of dick tokens. But I think the way you've handled it has been, you held yourself very well.
So to speak,
yeah. So to speak.
There's only one way to hold. Well, not.
Well, I don't know. It depends how adventurous you want to get.
It's been good. Like, I've currently on the stream I'm doing, we've got a fundraiser for Toys for Tots. Last Christmas we did a fundraiser for Toys for Tots with the crew I was streaming with then. We for Eugenia, getting people to draw and contribute and do stuff, was able to raise, at the time, I think what was even over a month's salary in Ukraine for and then like you've said, we're working with other people, collabs, getting free tokens out to like other groups from the UK or Germany, or just giving away. It's fun. I don't know. I think it's more fun than anything else. Like, I haven't gone. I don't want to call anyone out in particular because I guess that's like a gray area. But I see a lot of other people making tokens, and their immediate thought is to be profitable. And I'm like, for what, man? Like, I mean, maybe that's why I'll never be rich. But I'm like, for what? Like, I mean, if you look online, my tokens are fairly minimally priced. I think they're like £1.50 or £1.30 or something like that, a token. But you'll go on like Etsy and see people want 10, 7, 8 $12 for a token. I'm like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's a beautiful token and the art's great and whatever. But I'm like, you want to sell somebody? I mean, who are you? You want to sell somebody a $12? You know, I'd rather give them away at cons. I mean, that's what I'm going to do at Vegas. I'm going to take a few hundred and just anybody that approaches me, just here you go. You know, it doesn't cost that much to print them, so I don't know.
I was gonna make a joke about spreading the love, but
yeah. I was telling you before we started. I have people run up to me at cons, be like, "You're the dick guy." I'm like, "Okay, Dawson, nice to meet you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I'm the dick guy." You know, like, I have some, and I'm like, "Well, you know, I always got more dick to go around." You know.
Yeah,
it's comical.
You don't want to. Don't say that in front of your lady. You'll get in big trouble, man.
And you were saying the flavor text. I would say it's the low hanging fruit. If you know
exactly.
It really is.
Yeah. Look. I know. I know a few people in the area that have. It's very difficult. I have been. I'm not allowed to use the dick tokens you gave me in our LGS because they have youngsters in. It's all part of the rules and blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to tabletop stuff, and I've been to other events that allowed them, I always whip it out, and they love a bit of it.
I'm sure you do.
It's tough because
they're just fun. They're a good talking piece as well. Like the amount of time. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. But
I've gone to events and I've sat down with people. I mean, I don't know them from Adam, and they don't know me. But I was sort of, you get talking to them and you sort of say, "Oh, you guys want to see something funny?" And you sort of, you show them, and it's a real icebreaker because then all of a sudden, people they know the level you're prepared to go to or that you're comfortable with. And look, I have had one person sort of say to me, a bit like, "I just don't really get it," and I was just like, "It's absolutely fine." I thought it'd be a funny thing to share, but pulled them to one side. But pretty much everyone else other than that one person have just absolutely loved it, and they've just been like, "Where can I get some of these?" And I send them straight onto your website because do you know what I mean? It's a really nice, interesting talking point as well.
There's two things that kind of happens with it. One, you get people that they're very. I can't tell you why, but some people are really averse to them because I've had that happen as well, where they're like, you'd think the card was gonna, the creature was gonna like jump off the card and start chasing them around the room or something. They're like, "Oh my God, can't touch it," or whatever them to that conclusion, and that's fine. It's not for you. I get it. But one thing I've done to try to minimize that is they're not gross.
Yeah.
So like, if you think about it from how like it could be like how it is, which is very like non-offensive kind of simple drawing humor, not a lot of, there's no it's not over the top. Whereas if your imagination could run wild to how gross and disgusting or scary even they could be, there's a lot in between. I had to decide that real early how far this was going to go, because I think if it was more the other way, it'd be too much. It'd be too much.
It's more the characters just happen to be dicks, right?
Yeah.
It's not like they're doing anything they shouldn't be.
No, exactly.
No.
And
there is a lore on the website. So on thedickTokens.com. There's a if you go to the blog, there's lore to why the whole world's all dicks. All I gotta say is Magnus did nothing wrong.
Yeah. Well, he does have a third eye, doesn't he? So,
yeah, he does. Yeah, the all-seeing third eye.
Good Lord.
No, I have thoroughly enjoyed. Your tokens, and I just look. I love seeing how people react to them as well. And most people have just been like, "This is brilliant," and I never really say too much. I always wait for people to read down. And nothing gives me more joy when people be like, They just start cackling and they're like, this flavor text is amazing. I'm like, tell me about it. But if no one mentions it, I always direct them to it because I think people sometimes glaze over it. But once they start to read it, then they start going back through the other tokens and they're like, this is just like gold. This is fantastic. And off they go.
It's pretty fun. I mean, I don't think I've got that typical thing where I think I'm hilarious, but when I step back and look at reality, I don't think I'm an inherently funny person. But like I said, I think the dick jokes are just easy. I mean, they practically write themselves sometimes on the cards. You know, like it's just I don't know, playground potty humor. And it was the funny thing is going back all the way back to the origin stories. Like in the '90s, this was allowed in the LGS. I mean, like we used to. I mean, and I say LGS, but comic book shop. Maybe it was very inappropriate. But do you remember the movie Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where, there's kids in there from, they might be like 9 years old. They're playing the full movie, full Starship Troopers on the TVs in the comic book shop. I mean,
it's quite graphic.
Shower scenes, death scenes, with everything. Like. There was no parents were like, are they okay to watch this movie? No, it was just whatever. So
it reminds me, of when I was at school and I had one of my schoolmates, Pip. He would just, if you weren't looking, he would just lean over and you would look down and there would be a dick that he'd drawn on your exercise book. There's
always one person in the class, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's just that kind of humor. It's hilarious. At the end of the day, it's just funny, right?
There's a really good show. I think it's a Netflix original. You can probably find it on Netflix.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say. Here, go on.
Called American Vandal.
Yep.
If you've seen it, and basically, like that guy had like gone to an American.
Hold on, sorry to interrupt you, Dom. Have you not seen American Vandal?
So I've never seen this show.
Oh, you're right. So
you're good.
You need
onto the watch list.
You need to watch this. So for me, it's not the subject that I find hilarious about it. It's the way they grind into the detail. Like how it's almost like they're poking fun at Netflix documentaries because the way they go about it is just you need to watch it. It's very very good.
Basically, it's a mockumentary about true crimes. But it's centered around trying to figure out who drew all the dicks on cars in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
It is fantastic.
It's funny, isn't it? 'Cause it's like here in the UK, there's the guy that goes around spraying penises around the potholes so that the council goes and repairs them. Yep. Isn't there? It's funny.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So there's all the roads with all these potholes with dicks spray painted around them.
They got me.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, for a good cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always down for a good cause, that's for sure. So, obviously, what would you say is your favorite token that you have produced? You must have a favorite.
I think it's kind of changed over time. The first one where I was like, wow, this can be really cool. So when I first ordered, because I used to sell them in sets because I didn't want to get stuck with, obviously I'm putting my own money into this. I didn't want to get stuck holding a token people really didn't want. So I would sell them as a 4-pack originally. So when now you can buy them individually. You can buy one, you can buy 100, whatever you want. But it was the Goblin, Soldier, Zombie, Dragon. And the Zombie was cool. But when she sent me the image for the Dragon, I was just like, whoa. It was like old raw bone, you know what I mean? Like it was just like there was like this big red angry penis with wings breathing fire on a castle, and I was like, this is hilarious, and like that was the moment where I was like, this is cool, and that was my first favorite. But I want to say it's been replaced by either the werewolf. The copy token's probably the most like iconic because I literally make fun of a magic art with it. I make fun of Urza's Incubator.
Yeah.
With it. But that's a cool one. The treasure chest was a very, very hilarious one to make because there was a lot of breakdown and translation between her and I. She's obviously not a native English speaker. So I was like, I need you to draw me a treasure chest full of dildos and condoms. And she like wrote back like, what? Oh no. You know, like, can you explain? And I'm like,
Yeah. How much detail do you go in here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, you know, it's just like, oh, you know, and you're like, and then there's like, yeah, you know, so there was that. But yeah, probably the werewolf. And I really like the flavor text on that. He's a grower, not a shower. And then it's like just this big angry furry penis ripping off his clothes in the moonlight. Like it's like too funny, you know, like, and it wouldn't be funny enough. It's like dick tokens for me, if I take into everything account where I go to promote it and do this, it's not profitable. Like first year I only lost 25 pounds. Second year I definitely lost way more than that. But the good thing is the only person who actually makes money out of it is Eugenia, because she obviously gets every art paid, you know, paid up front.
Yeah, for the commission.
But yeah, so you know, it's been good, man. But it wouldn't be what it was without her ability. You can see this dick jokes right themselves. You can see the growth over time, as like from where she first started with that first set I'm talking about, to like the most recent ones where it's like the dinosaur and like the mammoth. So there's like some where she like hides the dick inside the creature. Like when you first look at it, it doesn't look like a dick, but then the closer you look, like, oh my god, there's a big penis about to eat a guy on a toilet, you know. And it's like,
so you could say she's becoming an expert at drawing dicks.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it's really good. It's been a lot of fun. I've got it so compiled now to the point where I'm gonna make it its own game. So I've gone through the alpha testing, the beta testing of the Dick Tokens drinking game, and now I'm at the point where I'm going to launch a Kickstarter. I'm in the middle of getting a good gameplay video and promotion video, because that's half the battle, is having a good like hook on the Kickstarter to get fully funded. And so that's
there you go.
And then that's basically the one.
There we go.
There's a pretty big artist who I'll be working with from Canada who will do an expansion set for the Dick Tokens drinking game if it gets fully funded. And that'll be the first time another artist has worked on the Dick Tokens project. So until now, it's just been Eugenia.
I mean,
that's exciting stuff.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. I know you've been speaking to me for. I think when we were in Prague, you were initially talking to me about the idea of this game. I know it was just in the conception, if I remember rightly, but it's exciting to see that's coming forward, and the Kickstarter's a really good idea of doing that as well.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's actually not a lot I need to be funded with. Just the other good thing that Kickstarter does for you, besides taking they take a pretty good chunk.
Oh yeah.
Is you get exposure. I couldn't reach that many people. I mean, I do have, like with other projects I feel like I call in favors and be like, hey, we at least make a story post for me for the game I'm trying to do. And I think a lot of people would, but it's not, the Kickstarter has its own kind of reach of people who are there specifically
to get
back games at the ground level. So, and you had to do your research, and anything else Dick related has usually been fully funded. So, you know, you hope that you're not the one lonely limp dick that doesn't get fully funded. That'd be very sad.
Insert joke name for you if you don't manage to do it. No, mate,
you'll have to let us know when it's going live.
I was literally about to say that sounds really exciting. Like, you have to let us know. We will definitely be on board for doing whatever you need to do with that. It sounds exciting. I'm looking forward to it. As long as you can, as long as the drinking game involves a nice Coke instead of a hard liquor, I'm down for it.
That's fine. You know, it's one of the things that will be on the box and then the thing is definitely, you don't have to drink alcohol to play it. It's just, you know, just what it's designed for. But obviously, you know, and drink responsibly too. I'm not telling you to go out and wake up in a ditch the next day. That's no fun.
that sounds like experience.
When you're dealing with dicks, you want a hard liquor anyway, don't you?
Hey, here we go.
There you go. No comment.
Oh.
Absolutely love it. Fantastic. Okay, so what other projects? I know you're working on some other projects as well, Dawson. So why don't you tell us about some of the other projects you're working on?
The first one is Borderless MTG. So I've started a stream where the goal each week is to have at least one non-US based guest on. And I bought one of those little scratch maps where you can like scratch off the countries, and I've got that, and I'll be scratching off the countries I've played with individually. It's on Sundays, and it's been fun. I think I've had like somewhere in the neighborhood like 10 different countries sign up so far.
Nice.
To play. So that'd be quite cool. As far away as Honduras, as near as here in England. So it's been quite cool. And then I'm gonna try to hit each state as well. So when I do have, because it's a lot simpler to get guests on from the States, so I'm not just gonna scratch the whole US off at once. I'm gonna try to hit a player from each state. And so that'll be fun. And then the second project is we're doing Plane Chasers. So that's a lot of creators a lot bigger than myself. Because I think I am barely a creator. But there's myself, Wild from Sleeves and Weaves, big CDH guy, runs the Dominion of Dweebs CDH thing. There's Magic Highness, she does a lot of stuff on TikTok.
Yep.
There's Callie MTG, who's formerly Magic New Girl. She plays in the campaign. There's Jordy, who's half a Jankmat, who streams with us on D&D campaign. And then there's Black Needle himself, Joe Johnson.
Nice.
Plays a formerly frozen wizard who used to run around with Teferi. And it's fun. We stream every Wednesdays in the evening. I think it's like UK time. It's like midnight. But US time, it's like 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe. And then I think they're getting better at putting the episodes on a repeat somewhere else, but it's just good laughs. There's dick humor there too. They basically, and some Poppy Gabe, because he's been out because he's in the military, so he's a reservist, so he's been out. That's why he's been gone. I didn't think of him immediately, but he plays with us as well. And the boys in the group got seduced by some sirens. And so that was quite funny. That was a very funny episode. And then what else? Those two. That's the big two. Am I forgetting something I should be naming? I don't know. I'm always trying to get into some
more EDH games with Pay the One, don't you?
Yeah. I Pay the One. He's dope. I'm going to see him in Vegas because he lives in Vegas.
I didn't realize he lives in Vegas, actually.
Yeah, he lives in Vegas, so we're gonna hang out. We're gonna go. He's gonna show me the buffets around there. And then gonna in person. Gonna go up to Chris's
CDH event.
European CDH qualifier. And second day of Command Fest, and then bigger after that is Vegas, MagicCon Vegas. I've not been to. I've been to 2 MagicCons, but I hear Vegas is like the big one. So
Vegas is crazy. It's big. What's the last what's the last one you went to? Was it Amsterdam?
Amsterdam, yeah. I went to MagicCon Amsterdam.
Yeah, it's bigger than Amsterdam. It's just the pure size of it. It's just the length of it. It's on 2 floors as well. It's just absolutely wild.
Okay.
You'll have a great time there. Also, it's Vegas. Like, you can sling spells all day and go do what you want in the evening. The thing I really like about Vegas is that you don't have to drink and gamble to go have a good time in Las Vegas. There's so much you could go do.
Tons of shows.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Last time I was in Vegas before that was for I ran at. So if you know Warhammer, the Las Vegas Open is like the biggest event in the world, and so I ran Beer Hammer at the Las Vegas Open.
Oh, okay.
In 2017, so a long time ago. But I was the one who ran that, and we gave out hilarious. We gave out certificates because obviously I think we had like one janky trophy for whoever actually won it. But there were drinking rules in the Beer Hammer, that could further your troop advance, and you could get smites and stuff. It was pretty cool. So we were giving out stuff like White Girl Wasted, you know, like we were giving out like Grayest Army, you know, like some people brought Super Gray. It was just it was super cool. So that was the last time I was in Vegas, was Las Vegas Open.
There's all sorts you can do in Vegas. It's good, solid fun, that's for sure. So obviously, you know, we've just been talking about your amazing dick tokens, but actually, Magic has a history of sneaking these things into their cards, don't they? They might not be quite as obvious as yours. They might be a bit more subtle, but there's still plenty of them. And they've done they've done an article on Commander's Herald that I thought was.
Yeah, I've got that pulled up right now.
We had a good read through this when we first started talking about this, and it's amazing. There's so many that I know some of these cards, and I was just a bit like, oh, I didn't realize that until it was pointed out to me. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like, you know, which is the Jace with the runes in front of him?
The Mind Sculptor.
Mind Sculptor, yeah. So it's a bit like Jace the Mind Sculptor. Are you aware of this, Dawson?
No.
So,
I'm aware of this.
I can
pull it up right now.
let's not spell that out, Dominic. But what I would also say is if you want to go find out, you can go Google it. But Jace the Mind Sculptor, unfortunately, once you learn this information, you'll never unsee it, and that's the thing that's really sad about it. Because my poor naive brain didn't see it until a friend of mine at LGS pointed it out, and as soon as I'd seen it, I can't unsee it.
Does it spell in front of him?
Well, we won't say it because of the word it is, but I'm pretty sure if you was to Google it and maybe look in some of the comments, it'll probably read it out to you. Failing that, I will message you after the pod, or I'll let you know after we finish recording.
Is it the C word?
It might be, yeah. Yeah, it might be.
Okay, I think I see it now. Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Unfortunately, every time you see someone cast that card now in front of you, you will see it. You will not be able to unsee that one, unfortunately. But I found that with some of these arts, actually. And so, yeah, we thought we'd just have a little chat about Phallic art in Magic the Gathering. So, Dom, why don't you kick us off in a good solid example, a nice solid one.
I mean, first of all, you should definitely check out this article. It's by Jake Fitzsimmons on Commander's Herald, like we said.
Yeah,
it's a history of Phallic art.
I'll try and put this in the show notes, actually, because I think it's worth.
We'll put the link in the show. You can follow along if you're on your PC, and it all kind of came to a head, as it were, when they produced the Stone Cold Serpent for a secret lair from the Snake's secret lair, and there was a little chap in the center at the rear of the card getting impaled, but he was totally naked and he had his tallywhacker dangling out. So that's what kicked off this article. But what they've said is that the first decade of Magic is the golden age of doodles. And it's down to one man, Robert Bliss, who's a particular artist. In Magic. So
what you'll find is his name comes up quite a bit.
Yes, he had a tendency to hide Johnsons in his artwork. So probably the finest example is Binding Agony, and it's a card from 1996. And there's a little creature crouching on top of what I guess appears to be a marble pillar, but it's been done in such a way that it just resembles a Todger. So it is what it is.
You Brits have such good words for winners, man.
Unfortunately, Dawson, you may not have pioneered this in Magic the Gathering, but it's nice to know.
No,
it's nice to know there's some sweet heritage behind what you're doing, isn't there?
Well, I think from like the original unsets, I think Magic used to have just such a better sense of humor. than it does now. I mean, maybe that's unfair. I mean, I don't think their sense of humor goes away, but I think they've just definitely PC'd it up a lot.
Yeah, I think there's a
and,
lot. There's a lot more to consider nowadays.
It's slightly more
Yeah,
sanitized.
yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. I think, but City of Ass is a great example. I mean, it's straight to the point, and it's just got butts all over it, bare bottoms all over every bit of it, and yeah.
That is a classic one. That really is. It's that's a classic as well, and also a beautiful piece by John Avon, one of my favorite artists. Absolutely love it. It's comical. It's funny, isn't it? You know, again,
yeah.
We're coming down.
It's fun looking at some of these older cards where some of them are just negative space, where actually you wouldn't necessarily notice it on first glance, but actually when you look a bit longer, as it were, then it starts to appear.
Yeah, that's there's some really good ones. I mean, like it's some that you have to look quite close. Like, what's the one where it's like the lady's hand and you don't even notice it when you first look? Academy Rector.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. When you look at her, it's like on the ridge of her palm right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
and it's clearly a custard chucker.
Yeah.
the old tallywhacker. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we're sort of this scrolling through some of these as well,
it's clearly not an accident either.
Oh,
like nobody's got nobody's.
Yeah.
It's some odd biology to have on that part of your palm. If you're so it's her left hand, and if you was to look at the right hand side of your palm, you can see like basically the like a sort of like a, it's not fatty, but it's like a paddy part. You know, there is no, you can see a slight roundness, but you certainly can't see what you're seeing on Academy Rector here, are you?
Yeah.
To be honest,
it's interesting because the artist is Heather Hudson on that card, and she's also renowned for sneaking tackle onto magic cards. Basically, one of the most famous ones is not necessarily a visible, Johnson. It's basically Clergy and Vec, and see, this is a famous one. So it's a priest with his hand raised up, and there's another character whose face is hidden. It looks like he's performing something on him, but it's the flavor text that really sells it. And it says, "Faith's shield is hammered out by the blows of unbelievers." So that is one of her cards as well. There's also another famous one that Heather Hudson did, which is the Avian Changeling.
Oh, and
it's the birds and the changeling flying past the clouds, but within the clouds there is a hidden,
So the one,
whatever you'd like to call it, appendage.
So the one that I think is a bit multi-layered actually is the artwork from Drawn in Dreams, which is to the naive eye is a couple of fish swimming together. It's not to you. It's not to you look a little bit closer, and then you can start to see it. Particularly the fish on the right. You know, that is definitely looking pretty phallic. But I think that the cherry on top is the artist, Chris Seaman.
That's
just the cherry on the top for me. But it's fun. I mean, it's a beautiful piece, but unfortunately, you can clearly see what that can be.
But I think if you look at on that one, Drawn of Dreams, if you look at some of the water splashing on the left, that doesn't look quite like water either.
No, it's a bit oddly shaped for water, isn't it?
It's a bit swimmy, I guess would be the
swimmy. Right? Yes, swimmy's a good word for it, my friend.
It's very much so.
So I think I mean, look, there's plenty in here. There's plenty of worms in here as well, and they are very.
A classic one is the Armada worm, which just looks like giggle stick erupting out of the ground, basically.
100% with a nice little cap on as well. You know, you got a grappler spider with what looks like quite an impressively long schlong.
Yeah.
What was it? What's
There's so many. I mean, there's some hilarious ones as well due to translation. So, like Peru the Volatile. Peru is Portuguese Brazilian slang for penis.
Yeah.
So, so it's called Dick the Volatile if you translate it directly. But obviously, they changed the name.
The Portuguese release. Yeah.
Do you reckon that's why they stopped printing Portuguese? Do you reckon?
Could be. I mean, you've got nickel bolus translate to nickel balls as well. In
What's the tower that
the Reliquary Tower.
The land. There's a land I can't remember the name of that looks like a big old leader.
Oh,
is it one of the command towers?
No.
I can't remember.
It's the one that you use in infect decks to increase the counters.
Khan's Bastion.
Khan's Bastion. Yeah. Is that what you're thinking of, Dawson?
I don't know. No.
Or are you thinking about the snow-covered swamp where there is very clearly a phallic-shaped ice?
Well, there's a famous Theros basic island as well that people call Pen Island, which obviously penis land.
Yes.
It's just got a big rock in the middle that just looks like a beef whistle. So.
Beef whistle. Excellent.
This is gonna rack my brain.
There is a phallic art tag on Scryfall as well, so you can use Scryfall and search for phallic artwork if you're.
Like that. No, the world's doing big things.
Oh, is it the Rupture Spire? Is it?
No. This is gonna kill me. Oh, wow. I made a post about it, but I don't want to dig through all my old posts to find out which one it was. I made a post when the island came out, when the island that was shaped like a vagina came out, like
yes,
in the recent release. I made a post making fun of it. Well, that was this year, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah, that was a secret letter, wasn't it? Of it was. I don't even know what to call that art style, but it was kind of like there was the island just looked, like genitalia. There's no other.
Basalt monolith.
Oh yes.
Sorry, that's the one I was thinking of. Actually, it weren't Khan's Bastion. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Basalt monolith.
There's so many of these cards where there's some that have gone through as mistakes. You got another classic is Olivia Voldaren, legendary vampire.
It's got a third leg.
Yeah, so the way the artwork, it looks like she's got a massive stonk on, but because of the artwork was changed, but the changed version never made it through to the printer. Some cloud computing issues. So the one that got printed, is not the final art that the artist provided, unfortunately. But there we go.
Do you reckon within the artist community they've all got a bit of an in-joke? And like, if you can sneak this by, like that, you get like, I don't know, like there's like an honor board of some sort of people that get it past.
Maybe.
I'm sure it is. Some of these older artists obviously did it on purpose, didn't they?
Yeah, the hand was on purpose. That's not. I don't. It's like one of those things where I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's
especially given some of the other cards that that artist has done. So
Dawson, who'd be a good person to ask would be RK Post. He'd know.
Yeah.
He'd know.
Yeah.
He'd know. Definitely, he'd know.
He's
been on it.
He's dope.
Yeah,
it was quite a cool experience with Prague. I'm glad we got to do that.
Prague was good fun.
That was cool.
Just on a side note for that, watching them playing those formats as well. I mean, I know you were still on the train when I was there the night before watching some of them, but watching them playing some of those formats was incredible. I've never seen so many Moxes, Black Lotuses like in the wild. Do you know what I mean? It was just absolutely incredible. Yeah. And to watch a turn one combo kick off, it was incredible. It was seriously fun. That was good That was a good event. That was actually, wasn't it? It was good.
It was cool.
Yeah, it was good fun.
I can't complain about that.
So, I got a question for both of you. Then, is artwork like this? Is this just showing that Magic still has a bit of a boyish, funny side to it, or is this just the artists playing around? What are your thoughts on all of this?
I mean, the most recent example is obviously that Stone Cold Serpent, and is obviously kind of snuck a little naked dude into the background of the card. And honestly, it's not horrifically offensive in any way.
I think it's very clear to say. I don't think any of these, anything that we've seen or anything that's on this piece. I know it's subjective, but I don't think really you could consider any of these examples as offensive. I think that anything from it. I think a lot of them you'd have to really go looking or have someone point out to you. A bit like what I was saying with Dawson and Jason the Mind Sculptor. You really have to go looking to really go seeing them, or you've just got that type of mind that, you know, it's a bit like when someone says something accidentally and you're just like, it's like
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, but I kind of like, you know, sorry, Dom, go on, Karen. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh. I mean, it's obviously been ongoing for quite a while. Obviously, it's something they try and avoid. But, you know, at the end of the day, someone's always going to make the connection when you draw a big scaly worm on your card. You know, there's no other real way to represent it. It just looks like a donger at the end of the day, you know. So, you know, you just got to laugh at the end about it, really.
Dawson, thoughts?
I don't know. I've been on a weird end of this because I'm making cards intentionally with them on it. And I think I've learned really quickly that there's a crowd of Magic players there's not many in the middle. They're like, They're either, oh, that's cool, that's funny, it's whatever, you know, I wouldn't buy it, but it's funny, or I would buy, oh, I need one of those, or that's that side. Then there's like don't put that in my hobby. So I think, but like you I guess you just gotta find your crowd, and I think shoot, you eventually might find that like Wizards or Hasbro parent company may want to tap into that market that's a bit more for the potty humor. Maybe I don't know. I think they've gone away from potty humor in the unsets in favor of more like you saw with Unfinity. It's just a bit more wacky. You know, whereas there was at least 2 or 3 borderline jokes in the old unsets. You don't have any now.
I mean, the word penis was actually printed on a card in the previous onset. It was the one where the frazzled editor, right? So it says the penis mightier than the sword, and he's amending the text to read how it should.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that wouldn't happen today, right?
Yeah. I don't think they'd do it. There's just too. It's not. I don't want to say people are just too sensitive. I just don't think it's worth upsetting people that aren't in this space for that. But I think if you put on a box of cards like, hey, this is an unset with an adult sense of humor, buy it or don't, that would be different. Rather than opening a pack and you don't know what's going to be in there, and all of a sudden there's penis humor. Like, anybody that goes. Go ahead.
I was going to say sorry to interrupt, but it's always a difficult one. What we have to, I'll say my piece in a minute, but what we always have to remember is this is technically a children's game, isn't it? Although,
it's 13 plus, right? Is the rating.
Yeah.
So,
suppose,
you know every swear word in the dictionary by that point. You know.
No. I'm sorry. Look, like I said, Sorry, Dawson. I'll let you finish your point, and then I'll say my piece on it.
No. I mean, it's like I think you could just, for example, anybody that's typing into their computer dicktokens.com knows exactly what they're going there for. You know what I mean? Like it's not a hidden thing of what I'm doing. I'm not like, oh, fulltokens.org, and then all of a sudden just dicks. You know, like bring up. It's not how it's happening. Yeah. But I think Magic could do that too, because I think they're, you know, like I work very closely with Jankmats because obviously they print exclusively all the Dick Tokens playmats. And they get a very, very large section of orders of some very explicit playmats. Dick Tokens playmats are not the most explicit thing they print. There's an audience for explicit stuff. The waifu playmats or the kind of anime over voluptuous anime character playmats, etc. And worse. I say worse, not worse, and riskier, I guess would be
sure.
the better way to say it, and more risque. And there's that audience, and you can play that at your kitchen table. If you and your friends are into that, do your thing. I'm not shaming your kink. Do you? I think if Wizards eventually they're their own company, they can sell whatever the hell they want. If they wanted to dip in that market, they just would market the product as, hey, this is an adult-heavy product. But I don't think we'll ever see it.
You never know. When they run out of universes beyond, maybe we'll get a Dick Token secret lair.
Right. Well, that's the dream right there, man. But I don't think any of those people are seeking me out for tokens now.
I think these are very interesting. I mean, look, my position, I have no issues with all of this. I mean, I don't want to make this sound like this is about people that are sensitive and not, because that's not what this is about. I think you can clearly, but to me, this feels like the artists have had a little bit of fun with their artwork. To me, this is good, clean humor. And what I mean by good, clean humor is you don't a lot of the times you don't naturally look at it and think, it's not like this is obvious pictures of genitalia, and it's not grotesque in any way. So I don't think we're reaching a level that would or should, in my opinion anyway, cause offense. There's always going to be people that don't want this type of stuff in Magic, and there is nothing wrong with that. And just because all three of us find it funny and we're talking about this now doesn't mean that we need to spread or push this on other people. If they're not comfortable, that's absolutely fine, and that's what the game is there for eventually. Right. But I think the fact that this has been going on for so long just goes to show that whether it's a Wizards thing or whether it's just the artist or anything like that, like there's definitely an undercurrent of a bit of tongue-in-cheek. I think that's the best way of putting this. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. This is a little bit of fun. There's been some fun being had of going around here. And do you know what? Maybe some of these art has been drawn and there was no intentions at all, and our potty brains have just looked at it and gone, that looks like a dick. Do you know what I mean? Right. Maybe the cards aren't the problem. Maybe we are the problem. Maybe our poor warped brains.
It's like we're sitting in front of the psychologist or psychiatrist. What's that? Rorschach paintings?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, open comes one. That looks like a massive dong, and they're like, "Oh, that's interesting." Most people say it looks like a donkey on holiday.
Yeah.
Well,
hey. Well, who knows? Yeah. But the thing is, it's one of those things where I think it has its place. Does it have it? Would I want to see this? Would I want to see anything more obvious in main sets? And I mean more obvious than what we've been talking about. No, I think we still.
I think.
Go on.
I think like you because it's all interpretation, isn't it? I mean, like let's look at Oko. Let's look at the Baldur's Gate Thirst Trap secret layer that came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like how risque can it get? I mean, I don't know. Like it doesn't matter. It's just not that it doesn't matter in general. Does it matter to you? Like if it matters to you, keep it off your table. Like like I'm not comfortable.
I think like a lot of things in Magic the Gathering. If you really do not like players or cards that mill your library, you have to speak up. You have to say your piece. And I honestly think the community is very accepting and very understanding. And I think most people would go, okay, fair enough. But I do think I think you're dead right. I think there is a demographic of players out there that, do you know what? If they can try and sneak a card in, oh, I'm going to make my Triceratops token, and you pop it down. It could be ridiculously obvious, but it could be subtle.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? To me,
Right.
I like the subtlety about it. That's the thing I like about it, because it's like a cheeky little joke. It's little bit like what Don was saying earlier. It's like that time you're in school and you turn around, or you pop your head into your bag to pick up your pencil tin, and you look back up, and one of your mates have leant over and drawn a massive dong on your binder or your bit of homework that you're about to hand into your teacher. To me personally, it's a bit of clean childish fun. But it's not everyone's bag, and I certainly wouldn't want anyone to feel inappropriate or feel uncomfortable with that type of stuff. So you got to choose your crowds, but I don't think.
And I think it's much more like, I would definitely say, like, if anybody, I'd be like, this is for kitchen table. This is for you and your kitchen table friends. And it's the same reason why, when I turn it into its own game, it's going to be a drinking game, because you're only playing a drinking game with friends. You're not playing the drinking game down the pub. You're not doing that with strangers. Like this, or it'll be a great game for like hen do's, or what we call in the States a bachelorette party.
Yeah.
It's like with your close girlfriends or close guy friends, whoever. You're just like, oh, a bunch of wiener cards, have a laugh, have a drink, go out for the night.
I think it's important to distinguish the difference between tabletop and LGS play as well, because a lot of LGSs, they will have rules that will stop this type of thing. So what you have to remember is they're not trying to stop you having fun. They're trying to protect all their clientele. We have kids come into our LGS, and to be fair, as much as I'm not a parent, but I'm not too sure if I'd want my kids seeing this type of stuff. And it's not because I'm prudish or I think there's something wrong with it. Kids grow up real quick nowadays. They don't need any more of that. Oh, daddy, mummy, what's that? Like awkward conversations, that sort of stuff. That's not it, as someone that's sitting there playing a card game. It's not my place to do something that's going to force that conversation with someone else. Now, that's certainly, I wouldn't want to do that. But when it comes to tabletop, you're sitting around with your friends, like all three of us. We could have someone else on our pod that's on board with this as well. And do you know what? We could have a fantastic time. We could all make ourselves a token deck, and we can use your fantastic dick tokens, and we can have a good laugh about it. Do you know what I mean? We can all sit down, have fun, and that's ultimately what the tokens are for. They're there to be used and to have fun, and have fun and make a bit of a laugh about it. So why not? But yeah, interesting.
There is one dick token that doesn't have a dick on it.
Is there?
Do you know which one it is?
I'm trying to think. Is it the mammoth?
It's the wall.
It's the wall.
The wall doesn't have. It's much like the clergy and Beck or whatever that one is. Cleric and Beck or whatever. Very much implied penis, because it's just the glory hole. But the thing is, I don't think you'd be able to get away with that one at an LGS either. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing: is like you'd walk by it, and as much as you don't want to know what a glory hole is, I think any adult knows what the hell a glory hole is. You know what I mean? So you walk by and like
stories and legends start whipping around, don't they? And before you know it,
you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, everybody's looking at your wall token, like, ooh. When you're getting tapped on the shoulder by the employee, like, can you put that away, please? Like, ooh. But,
yes, I will.
I don't tend to use them much myself. Funny enough, because the problem is, like I said earlier in the podcast, is I just want to spread the love, if you will. I'll be playing out, at a friend's event or a friend get together or an LGS where because there are some LGS that are cool with them.
Yeah.
LGS in Poland didn't care. I'll be playing, somebody will be like, that's hilarious. I'm like, do you want it? And then I'll end up giving away like half my stock in 10 LGS visits, just people like, yeah, sure, just have them, then there's, but so I don't tend to use them because I just give them away, but yeah.
No, that's cool. That's good. Like I sort of said, I've always been a big fan of them. I've just found them hilarious. They're very, very good. Right. So we've talked about the fun side of Magic. We are recording on the 31st of March, and there has been a ban and restricted announcement today. So I thought it's worth having a conversation about. These things can make or break different formats. Now, the one thing I would caveat what we're about to talk about is that I think I'm right in speaking for everyone on this pod currently, but we don't play enough of these formats to truly have an opinion. But it's also still interesting to talk about. Particularly, there's two formats in particular that I can have a bit of input, not a massive input, but I think it will be quite interesting. But so for anyone that hasn't read them at the minute, the big ones are: there is no changes in Standard, Pioneer, Vintage, Alchemy, Explorer, Historic, and Timeless. So there's no changes at all. Dom, why don't you talk about probably the big one that we all knew was going to happen, Modern. What was banned in Modern today, my friend?
Underworld Breach finally got the ban hammer. So those who don't know, it's an enchantment, 2 mana. Each non-land card in your graveyard has Escape, which allows you to cast it from your graveyard. And the escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost, and you exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. Now, by itself, okay, you get to replay some things if you've got a full graveyard. However, they unbanned Mox in Modern, giving you a free artifact you can cast from your graveyard if you've got 3 cards in it. Now, there's the Grinding Station allows you to sacrifice an artifact and mill yourself for 3 cards.
Yep.
So you can see where this is going. You play your Mox, sacrifice it to the station.
Yeah.
Mill 3 cards. And I think when an artifact enters play, you untap the station.
Yeah.
If I'm correct.
Yeah, no,
so
I think you're right.
Those 3 cards together give you infinite storm count, and then you can kill your opponent with 80 billion, what's it called? The storm spell that deals 1 damage.
Yeah, I think Grape Shot. Is it Grape Shot?
That's Grape Shot. That's the one. Yeah, so that's one of the ways you can win once you've kind of created this loop.
Yeah. If there's one thing, if anybody has played either high level EDH or particularly CDH, you know what Underworld Breach does. It is synonymous with combos, high level combos. So the fact that it's been banned in Modern, it tells you the level. Do you know what I mean?
The fact it's 2 mana is probably the.
It's
if it
wild.
was a 4-mana card, maybe it wouldn't matter.
It's absolutely wild. I mean, there's lots of ways you can abuse this. Even just abuse it for value. I mean, anything that comes out, there's a lot you can really do about this. Really, you got anything to say about Underreach Dawson here?
I'm just happy the price will come down on it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it'd be great for my Rakdos deck. Like I said, because I always looking for recursion in there, because I burned too bright with that deck and everything ends up in the bin. So that'd be good for it. And then, but like I said, I'm a dirty, cheap, casual, super casual EDH player. So I don't really, from having played competitive Warhammer, I can understand and appreciate the level of play that competitive Modern players and such play at. But I couldn't begin to tell you how I would use this in a Modern deck like Dom was able to, so. Yeah,
Dom's just given a classic example. There's been quite a dominant deck that is based around Underworld Breach, is my impression. I think it's been one of those cards that I think if they wouldn't have banned it, I think people would have been more surprised if they didn't ban it than if they banned it. So it's clearly been quite dominant and seeing quite a bit of play. So you normally get an inkling for these things. Certain decks, you'll be a bit like, this is probably going to catch a ban. And I think it's quite well known that this one was probably going to catch a ban.
It ends up getting to the point where you see a tournament where it's so much of the metagame and it makes up almost all the top 8, and you're thinking, okay, this is going to get banned. Right?
Yeah, here we go.
If it's that represented within the format, then something has to happen. Yep. I am glad that they banned Breach rather than one of the enabling cards, which is something they often do. to try and tiptoe around it. They've just gone straight for the banhammer and ban breach. It's the best way, honestly.
I think you're right. You know, we've all seen examples where they have they've banned or restricted a card, more of the enabler card, and you just sit there and it just gets abused for another period of time. There's another card, or they make it work, and then they finally go, yeah, okay, well we'll do what we probably should have done last time, and gets cut straight to the point with these sort of things, really. So Legacy is where they've had some more bans as well. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know Legacy very well at all. I know some people in the community that do play it and they absolutely love it. But you've got a Sowing Microspawn, that's the Eldrazi creature from Modern Horizons 3. You see, we've seen a lot with Modern Horizons, particularly 2. There was a lot of banned cards, so you're starting to see, the power creeping in this amount of time. I'll be honest with you, I couldn't tell you why this was banned. I'm sorry if you're listening for this Legacy update, but I can't give you the input. But you've also got Troll of Karazir Dum, which is effectively a lot of people. I know what you'd use this card for. You're basically you're swap cycling at early days, and then you're trying to retrieve it from your graveyard. So it's a 6/5. It costs 6 mana, a 5 generic and 1 for a big old troll. Basically, can't be blocked by creatures. By except 3 or more creatures as well. So you've got to commit a lot to it.
The naughty thing about this card is it has swamp cycling, so straight away you can swamp cycle it, puts it into your graveyard, and then it gives you the swamp you need to cast a reanimate.
Yeah.
So suddenly on turn 1 you can be looking across the board at a 6/5, maybe backed up with some free counter spells to if you've got some removal for it, and the game is over, right? I guess.
Yeah. I suspect that's probably it's a very powerful card. I've seen this used in high level EDH. I've seen it used in CDH as well, and I think it's got some play in Modern as well, if I remember right. I can't quite remember, but I have seen this one in play a little bit, and I have seen this has been turn 1 swamp cycled and then reanimated straight off the bat, and all of a sudden like, oh you done a thing quite quickly, didn't you?
The only thing I know about the Troll of Khazad Doom was it helped me win games at the pre-release. That's it. It was a pretty good bomb. That's it. That's all I know about that card, and I really don't know much about the other one.
Nope, not bad for a common, is it?
Yeah, the Microspawn, it exiles lands if you kick it. Right, so in Legacy is kind of notorious for being a format with not many lands. So if your land get exiled, you're in dire straits, I suppose.
Yep.
But they haven't really commented on why they've banned that in particular. They've just talked about the troll in the notes here. So
they do normally go into a bit more detail, but actually I noticed this earlier when I went through them that the detail isn't quite as much in depth of some of these cards. So whether it was again just a bit of we knew this was going to happen, or it's that problematic, it's going to go.
It's because Eldrazi and Colourless, they've said, has been prevalent in Legacy since they got a boost in Modern Horizons 3. So it's Modern Horizons set has basically taken that to the point, I guess, where it's a bit overrepresented in the format.
Yep. So the other format where we've had some changes is in Pauper. So in terms of being banned, we've got a Baskin Brood Scale. I cannot pronounce that. Kuldothic Rebirth. Tom, you'll probably be better to read that than me.
Oh, Kuldotha, yeah.
There you go.
Kuldotha Rebirth.
That's exactly what it was. And then you've got so I am playing a little bit of Pauper, so I know a little bit, but what I do know is Deadly Dispute has been quite prominent. And Black is very, very strong in Pauper at the minute. So I've seen this quite a few times. There's a small community around us, thankfully, that are playing Pauper, and you see this quite a bit. It's a very, very powerful card. I tell you how powerful it is. Like, this pretty much goes in most of my Black decks whenever I make EDH decks. This is particularly if you're creating anything that you can easily sacrifice, whether it's for an artifact or creature, like token decks. Like, this is great fodder to have. Like, I've got a treasures deck that I have this in, and this is perfect. Like, it really, really good. And it's good in that treasure deck particularly because you sacrifice it, draw 2 cards, and create the treasure again. So you're negating that sacrifice really. It's a great card. weirdly feels very, very powerful for common in my opinion, but yeah, I not really too. Is there too much in the notes about the other two there, Dom?
I know that the Brood Scale is part of a combo deck. So I don't know exactly how it works. I saw it being played, but it's like it's a deck that runs, Walking Ballistas, that kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
It just does too much.
Yeah. What you tend to find is combo pieces as well. Like combos are fine to a certain degree, but when they're very easy to pull off and they're quite prominent, you do find. Yeah.
So it basically combos with Blade of the Blood Chief, which is a 1-mana equipment that equips 1. And whenever a creature dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature.
Okay.
So with the Brood Scale, it has Adapt, create an Eldrazi spawn with Sacrifice, add colorless. So if you equip it with the Blade of the Blood Chief, you sacrifice the spawn, it gets a counter, which creates another spawn, you get infinite colorless, and then you cast your Walking Ballista.
Off you go.
Or an Emrakul.
Yeah.
Or just whatever you feel like doing with your infinite colorless mana at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, there's quite a bit there we can also do. Interestingly enough, Lo, there has been a couple of unbans. In Pauper again. Dom, why don't you speak about these? Why don't you tell us about these unbans, and we can. The one in particular has is perplexing, but anyway.
One is questionable. So Prophetic Prism is unbanned. This is a common artifact, 2 mana. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. You can pay 1 and tap it to add 1 mana of any color.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just. It's just really good.
Yeah, that's not a bad card at all.
It's 2 mana rock in a. I know you have to pay mana to get the color you need, but it's just really good fixing mana, and you draw a card when it enters, and it's only 2 mana. Card
draw is always good, mana fixing, particularly if you need it. If you dare splash into a third, that can be pretty good. I'd imagine as well, you could probably find yourself in a position where you'll probably be able to, I'm sure this is a fine addition, or I felt that this was probably maybe banned at a point that it was a certain deck that was seeing lots of play and was getting quite a bit of use.
Super cheap.
Yeah. That's Pauper is, baby. Yeah, Pauper's always good in some respects.
I was just over here looking up prices of some of these.
Yeah.
You can get a few decks for Pauper for not very much.
Yeah. Pauper's good competitive format to play, man. It's good pricing. For me, I always think to myself, it's like if you ever watch old Pro Tour Magic, I always feel like it's that level of power. Which is always really entertaining to play, and it is good fun. I definitely recommend if you fancy getting your competitive juices going, Paupers I think is a really good one to get to.
I've really wanted to go to Paupergeddon in Italy, but never really got into the 60 card format of Pauper, so I don't know. I'm nervous. So we'll see. I don't know if I have the time, but if I do find the time, get into it. I just know for sure that after looking at High Tide here, seen it before, but I'm just it's making me think as I'm hovering over the card about some decks that might use a little bit of tune-up from a High Tide.
So for anyone that doesn't know what High Tide is, so High Tide is the other card that's been banned. So one blue
unbanned.
Unbanned, sorry, yes. It's a 1 blue mana instant. And to the end of turn, whenever a player taps an island for mana, that player adds an additional blue. This card is fantastic. I really like this card. I weirdly didn't even have it on my... I know obviously it was being banned, but I didn't even really have it on the radar for Pauper. I'd seen plenty of cards in the past. I've always been like, this would be great if it was available in Pauper or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so they put out an article kind of going into a bit more depth on the Pauper unbans. It's because of a kind of weird legality thing, because... back before tabletop and online formats were unified, is what they've said. Tabletop uses printed legality, and online uses online legality.
Yeah.
So they had vintage masters who actually printed all these old cards, and so it was printed obviously at common online, whereas now the format has been unified. It was pre-banned in tabletop.
Mm-hmm.
So you never got a chance to play it in the tabletop format, whereas it was legal because it had been printed at common in the online version.
Sure.
Think, okay, let's bring it together. Let's have the format be one. You can ban for both.
Yeah.
Right. So this is why they've taken it off, because it was pre-banned when they made that change. So they've said, well, let's let it ride, see what happens.
Yeah.
It's for creating combos at the end of the day. You're creating a vast amount of blue mana.
Yep. And look, if there's one thing that I think is one format that seems to always be in good hands, I always feel like Pauper is. They've got a really good. They've got some really good people with their eyes on it. We've had Emma on the podcast before, and she's always part of the Pauper panel as well. Gavin Verhey's overlooking it as well. So that's in good hands. So these things will be. These won't be flippantly banned or unbanned. So it'd be interesting to see. Actually, High Tide's quite a good one.
Yeah, I mean, they've said that this is a trial.
Yeah.
And if it enters the top 3 decks of the metagame, they will ban it. So
it's a powerful card. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you've got 3 months to give it a go. Just don't be too successful with it, or it'll get banned.
Right.
Try and come in at number 4 in any tournaments you play your High Tide deck.
At least for the next 3 months, and then after that, you can play the living hell out of it and get another 3 months out of it before it slams a ban hammer down for them. But so yeah, interesting. I was expecting maybe something from Red, maybe in Standard, but
yeah, what they've said is because we've got Tarkir coming and Final Fantasy in the not too distant future, that I guess maybe mix things up.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, Red is pretty dominant. There's like the mouse strategy where all the little mice that got printed in Bloomburrow like hyper aggressive prowess, and the game can end before you've done much. If you played Arena recently, so a lot of red deck wins, especially in best of 1. I think it's more of a problem, right?
Yeah,
it's like in a best of 3, you can board against it, put in some early removal, things like that, and then Monstrous Rage as well is
that's quite
honestly quite a problem because of the way it works. Because it gives you a stat boost and the enchantment also boosts it. So there's obviously premier removal in the format is cut down, which is you destroy target creature, I think, with a combined power and toughness of 5 or less.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically you Monstrous Rage your creature, which puts it out of range of that, and you've basically counterspelled in mono red, which is not something they want.
And you've got an advantage off the bat as well.
Suddenly your creature is huge with a prowess trigger plus the Monstrous Rage. Yeah, it's bad times. I'm surprised it didn't get banned, but we'll see what comes in the next sets. I think if Final Fantasy was designed, like I've said, pod, when it was going to go into modern, it might just juice all these decks out of the format, honestly.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Any thoughts on any of that, Dawson?
Not a ton.
I mean,
like I said, looking at High Tide maybe for a couple decks. And then I don't play much Standard. When I first got Arena, I played a bit of Standard. But it just feels too keeping up with the Joneses. And like I said before, I can appreciate the talent and the effort that goes into playing 60 card formats well and competitively. Like you have to not just know your deck like the back of your hand, but also know the meta and the other decks you're going to face like the back of your hand. But I can definitely, in an evening, if I was to sit down for an evening and play Arena Standard, I can play the same game of Standard 3 or 4 times in that period of time. I will not often, if ever, sit down at a table an evening of Commander and play the same game 3 times.
Yeah,
which is why.
Yeah,
So like I appreciate these 60 card formats. They're just not for me. So I hear about them. I see the news. I guess in that respect, it kind of comes by me, but I don't give it too much thought now.
It's interesting because you've got these cards that are just overpowering in the 60 card formats because you can have 4 of them in your deck, whereas actually Commander, they're just, Monsters Rage is great.
I can have some great cards in my deck, but I'll never see them in certain games.
Yeah. There's a big when you start getting consistency, particularly in any deck, consistency is power. So when you've got 4 of your best card in your deck, that does just seem to get up there, and the power levels does go up. Sometimes you're a bit glass cannon; it can be a bit vulnerable, but at the end of the day, consistency is key when it comes to these things, isn't it? That's what CEDH is all about. You want that consistency, that your deck is going to do what you need it to do to win the game and to protect yourself and to interact with other people. That consistency is absolutely key. It really is. Right, guys. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you on, my friend Dawson. It's been, like Dom said earlier, it's been a long time coming. It really has. It's been so nice to have you on and tell us our story and talk everything Phallic in Magic the Gathering. It's been very enjoyable. I hope people have enjoyed this episode, and I hope people have taken it in the spirit that we mean it to be, which is a fun, inclusive way, instead of anything that might be seen as negative. Like we think this, we like the way this poking is fun in itself. I said it before. I love the tokens you use, and I'm more than happy to use them. I think they're good, solid, good, clean fun. Me personally, but I'm looking forward to seeing more in the future.
Yeah, I'll bring you some of the new stuff down at Command Fest. I'll have some for you guys.
Awesome.
Like I said, I'm only there this Sunday because we're doing the CDH tournament on the Saturday. But I'll see y'all up there. We should definitely get a game in too.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all got to record any games up there, but if you are, we could do that too.
It depends on what I've got to do. Maybe there could be something, but like we can't go for that. At the very least, catching a game would be really, really be good fun. Be good to catch a game.
Be there. It's open till 9, I think, too.
Yeah, they've extended it. It's really good actually. So the last couple they've kind of closed off the ticketed play earlier on, whereas actually they've extended that I think till 7 p.m. now. So if you're going for obviously you got these giant cards, it was a real struggle to gather enough tips to get them within the time limit. To the point where you might have had to play a game and scoop up just to get the ticks to be able to get one. Whereas actually, with those extra hours, if you've got a team, you can get one of these. Or spend it on something way more practical. But there we go.
those expensive booster packs I'm too cheap to buy. That's where I usually send them.
Yeah.
But
awesome. Well, look, I'm looking forward to seeing you there, my friend. It'll be good to hang out, and hopefully we can catch a game. So, guys, go check Dawson and his Dick tokens out. If you're interested, or if you have the ability to use and play them and enjoy them, please go check them out on his website. They are truly fantastic. They are really, really good fun to play with. Really looking forward to the drinking game. We'll be keeping our eyes out for that as well. But what do you guys think? Is it just is it a nice bit of clean bit of fun, or is it artists just trying to get the old dick picture in? Like, what do you guys think? Get down into the comments. Talk to us about what you think about this. But also, while you're down there, let us know what you want us to talk about next. We're always open to options. We've got some great guests up and coming. We're really busy with the pod at the minute, which is really, really good. But what do you want us to talk about? Dom, pleasure as always. Dawson, once again, thank you for joining us, my dude. And see you in Magic.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep.
To everyone else listening, we'll see you all soon.
Get your throbbing gristle in your hand and get down to dicktokens.com.
It just writes itself, doesn't it? Like you sort of said earlier. Fantastic. Right, guys, thanks for listening and thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. See you later.